4682. Okay. So we're on Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel on the right side, 4682. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Now we're continuing the discussion regarding how often you would say a bracha on the lulav. So let's see the Gemara discussion about that. As we saw yesterday, some say that you only say a bracha the first day of the holiday, and you don't say a bracha the rest of the holiday because the rest of the holiday is rabbinic, and the blessing that was said the first day would cover you for the rest of the holiday, right? That was someone's opinion. There's one more there. So today, I'm gonna hit the big Gemara. Anybody want a big Gemara? Ralph, you want a big Gemara?
Ready
Good morning, Nathan.
ready for tonight?
I'm trying to get ready. And the class is on tomorrow. The fact that there's that's not going to take away from the class.
From the directly class.
Very good. Like Shavuot night, right? Okay. Amar Yehuda Shmuel, mitzvah lulav. The mitzvah of lulav, b'chol shiva. The mitzvah of lulav is every day of the holiday. That's the mitzvah of lulav. You have 7 days of lulav, and since every day is the separate mitzvah, so therefore we make a bracha for every day, the separate mitzvah. That's the meaning. If it will be one long mitzvah, so one long mitzvah, you make a bracha once, it covers you for that duration of time. But it's not one long mitzvah, so to speak. Every day is a mitzvah. Yes.
Pesach has always the same musaf. Sukkot has 7 different musafs. So therefore, 7 different korbanot. So maybe that has to do with each day of Sukkot being different rather than Pesach being all one.
Okay, that's a good point. We do find that logic regarding Hallel, that we say a whole Hallel on Sukkot. Every day of Sukkot, we say a whole Hallel. And every day, and when it comes to Pesach, we don't say the whole Hallel throughout the whole days of Pesach. Only the first 2 days of Pesach.
Separateness of each day of Sukkot, which is
You mean a separate bracha.
as opposed to all of Pesach, which is one long Pesach.
Right. Interesting idea. But now the way the commentary in the bottom says over here, regarding lulav, now here we're talking about the mitzvah of lulav. And the mitzvah of lulav, at night, there's no mitzvah of lulav. So therefore that the night will separate each day, and therefore it makes it as if each day, good morning, Mark. We're explaining the reason for the opinion now on why lulav, you should make a separate bracha every day on the mitzvah of lulav, because every day is like its own mitzvah, because it's not one continuous mitzvah, because the night there's no mitzvah lulav at night, so the night serves like an interruption, and therefore you go ahead and you need to say a separate bracha every day regarding lulav. Rabbi Shua bar Levi says that Yom Rishon mitzvah lulav. The first day of the holiday is a mitzvah lulav on a Torah level. Therefore, you say a bracha, but the rest of the holiday, after day 1, the rest of the holiday outside the mikdash is only a remembrance of the mikdash. It's a rabbinic mitzvah. And the rabbi said, you don't need, once you said a bracha, this is his opinion, on the first day, you don't need to say a bracha the rest of the day, because mitzvah is the king. It's a mitzvah zikinim. It's a mitzvah from the elders. The elders meaning the rabbis, and therefore you don't need to say a bracha the rest of the holiday. Rabbi Yitzchak Omer, Rabbi Yitzchak says, now Rabbi Yitzchak is going to say a statement that's going to need, the Gemara is going to jump on him. Rabbi Yitzchak said, Kol Yoma Mitzvah Zakanim. The report that the Gemara brings, good morning, Simon. The report with the Gemara brings about 4682. The Gemara brings the report that Rabbi Yitzchak says that every day is a rabbinic mitzvah, which every day would sound like including day one. That's the Gemara is going to say that's not true. We all know the pasuk says "L'kachtem lachem b'yom harishon," says you have to take the lulav, and that's not a rabbin. That's minat Torah, and that's referring to all over, even in our days. So how could you say that all the days of the holiday are rabbinic? So the Gemara says outside the temple is from day 2 to day 7 is rabbinic, but day 1 is minat Torah today, wherever you are. Everybody had everybody had obligation to take it the first day. So the Gemara says, based on the pasuk of l'kachtem lochem b'yom harishon, that pasuk that says you take on the first day, that pasuk tells us that wherever you are. So the Gemara says, "Vafilu b'yom rishon," even the first day is rabbinic. V'kaimalan b'yom rishon d'oraita. We hold that. Good morning, Mr. Haber. We hold that the first day of the holiday is minat Torah all over. So the Gemara says no. See, therefore you have to say when he says all the days are from the Zikanim, all the days are from the elders, the rabbis. He means all the days but day 1. Ema bar miyom rishon. He meant to say every day besides the first day. And since all the rest of the days are rabbinic, you don't need to make a bracha the rest of the holiday. Just the bracha the first day would cover you. So the Gemara has a question. If that's what he means to say, that now the Gemara brought 3 rabbis. Rabbi number 1, Yehuda in the name of Shmuel, that says you need to make a bracha every day of Sukkot on the lulav. Rabbi number 2 and Rabbi number 3, you brought me Rabbi number 2 and number 3. Rabbi number 2 says you only need to make a bracha on the first day of the holiday. Now you're bringing me Rabbi number 3, and he's saying the same thing as Rabbi number 2. So you don't separate. If they're saying the same thing, then you have to say the two, list them together as they both say the same thing. If you list them separately, you say, Rabbi this says this, Rabbi this says that, Rabbi that says that. That means that they're all saying something different. So how could you hear, David, you hear the question? Supply there's a machloket, there are different opinions. And now the way you're explaining the rabbi, you're saying it's meaning the way the first version that you had is Rabbi number 3 was saying you don't even need that day 1 is rabbinic. That's a new idea. We never heard that before. Good morning. But now that you're saying he's saying the same thing as Rabbi number 2, so the Gemara says, Ihachi, if that's the case, Hain Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. So he's saying the same thing as Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. So the Gemara says, you're right. Instead of writing it, Rabbi number 1 said this, Rabbi number 2 says this, Rabbi number 3 says this. Rather, you should have it like this. Rabbi number 1 says A, Rabbi number 2 says B, and Rabbi number 3 also says B, says the same thing. Not that the third rabbi is a separate opinion, rather he's in sync with the second opinion.
B and C say the following, rather than B says the following and C says the following. Why does it not say B and C say the following to try to show a majority versus A?
So it could be that maybe that sometimes when people are together, colleagues together, you can say Nathan and Simon say something, but when the rabbis lived at different times, so maybe you would say Rabbi this said this, and the other rabbi also said the same, and so said the other rabbi. So the Gemara says, Ema v'chein Amar Rabbi, and Rabbi Yitzchak also said it. And the Gemara says, V'af Rav Sava Kol Shiva Mitzvah Lulav. Rav is a big rabbi, and the later rabbis, he also holds that you say the bracha on the lulav all 7 days. And now you got Rav and Shmuel, which many times in the Gemara, Rav and Shmuel disagree with each other. They like Baye v'Ravah, Hillel Shammai, but here they both agree to this, and that's going to help create the law. At the back that they both agree to this, that you will say a bracha every day of the 7 days. Now the Gemara is going to Af Rav Sava Kol Shiva Mitzvah Lulav. How do we know He says, how do we know that you're going to say a bracha all 7 days on the lulav? According to Rav, the Amar Rav Chia, the Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi Amar Rav. Rav Chia bar Rav says the name of Rav. Hamadlik ner shel Chanukah. Someone who's lighting the ner Chanukah, right? It's Chanukah time, and you have a mitzvah to light the Chanukah. That mitzvah is rabbinic. We don't say because the mitzvah is rabbinic, the rabbis don't impose a bracha, don't place a bracha on the mitzvah. Even though the mitzvah is rabbinic, washing your hands before you have bread is rabbinic, let's say a bracha. Lighting the candles on Hanukkah is rabbinic, and Sarich Levarech, you make a bracha before you light the candles, say a bracha. So we see the Asher Kiddush, and the Gemara is going to discuss your question, by the way, in a minute. We say Asher Kiddush Mitzvotav V'Sivanav. And so we have a precedent that says that on a rabbinic mitzvah, lighting the ner Chanukah, again, in the Beit HaMikdash, that's a mitzvah min Torah to light the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash. But for every individual in the privacy of their own, or out in their home, or outside there, on the entrance of the house, you have a mitzvah. We all have a mitzvah, right? Mitzvah to light the menorah. That's a rabbinic mitzvah. As a result of the miracle of Hanukkah, and yet we say a bracha on that on a rabbinic mitzvah. So too, lulav, day 2 to day 7, which is a rabbinic mitzvah, you also say a bracha, manishtana. You know, we're in the manishtana season, right? Morning mark. What's the difference between Hanukkah, which is a rabbinic mitzvah, and taking the lulav from day 2 to day 7, which is a rabbinic mitzvah? The same way you say a bracha there, you say a bracha here. Now the Gemara, you know, the style of the Gemara is when you touch on a subject, they like to go a little, you know, once you've mentioned the subject, even though we're going to talk about something which is not related to our actual discussion of the Gemara, but once we spoke about Hanukkah, something about the Hanukkah bracha, so let's give a little bit more details about the Hanukkah, about the Hanukkah, the mitzvah of saying bracha by Hanukkah. Rav Yirmiyah says we are now on 40. Now we just turned to 3. 46a 3. B1 B, and now we turn to 3. We're on 46. Sorry, let me clear. 46a, page 3, number 3 on 46a. 46a 3 on the first column towards the bottom. Rabbi Yirmiyah Amar, like second paragraph to the bottom. Rabbi Yirmiyah Amar. Roya ner Chanukah. If somebody sees a Chanukah menorah, you're walking in the Rishut HaRabim. You're walking in a public place, and you see a Chanukah menorah. Sarich levarech. You have to say a bracha on that Chanukah menorah. Now, what is this? What's the case over here? Now, when you see a Chanukah menorah, you don't say a bracha when you see a Chanukah menorah. You say a bracha on your own Chanukah menorah, even though you saw that Chanukah menorah before you came home. You were running a little late, and you came home a little later, and then you're coming home, everybody's menorah is lit. You don't say a bracha. So what now? So what's going on? And if you look at there's a letter. There should be a letter here, I would guess. Not in this Gemara, but we're going to see the Gemara. Yeah, the Gemara is going to bring the letter. So the question: what is the case over here? So this is a person who is not going to light in his house that night. He's not, let's say he doesn't have a home to light in. He's not, what do you say? He's on a business trip. He has no, and now technically if he has a wife at home, then the wife will light for him, and that will come. A single guy on a business trip, and for some reason he has no place, he's traveling, he has no place. So, and he's not, and really, I mean, really the place where he's going to stay, he should light, but he has no place. So that person will say a bracha, he'll see the menorah. So what will he say? We'll see what he'll say. Obviously, he'll say, he's not going to say the first bracha, because he's not lighting the menorah. The Gemara is going to tell us the blessings in a minute. But if he plans on lighting in his house, he doesn't say a bracha on the seeing of the menorah. Rather, he waits to light the menorah in his house. Now,
take a blessing in a passageway that the lights of the Hanukkah menorah are lit rather than I lit the candle.
To have a right to say a blessing, you have to have we don't just say a blessing, if he has no need to say the blessing, then he should not say the blessing. So he's going to say Shechianu later by his own menorah. But if he doesn't come home, he's going to say the Shechianu too. If he doesn't come home, there's no one lighting for him. He'll say both, but that's what the Gemara said. The Gemara is going to tell us he'll say those two brachas. Shasini Shalav Aseinu, and Shechianu v'Kimanu v'Giyonu Lazman Hazeh. That's if he just sees it. Correct. Now, obviously, it's interesting about menorah. Tosfos points out, other mitzvot we don't say a bracha by seeing. You see somebody's sukkah. You see someone doesn't have his own sukkah for whatever reason. We're not going to say you see a sukkah, you say a bracha on the sukkah. Obviously, there's something unique about menorah. I mean, we all know about the Presumei Nisa, the publication of the mitzvah. That could definitely be a reason why the rabbis instituted a bracha for just seeing a menorah, because part of the mitzvah, the uniqueness of the mitzvah of menorah is part to publicize the miracle. So if you're part of that publicity that you watch it, you see it, and you're making known the miracle, it's not just about the menorah mitzvah. It's not just about you doing the menorah. You lit your menorah. You light your menorah the way they instituted it. You're supposed to light your menorah in a way that what? Somebody else, another Jew, should see your menorah. That's the meat and potatoes of the mitzvah. It's only because there was times of danger, we moved the menorah inside the house. But really, the menorah is supposed to be people could see. If you look at the bottom Tosfot, Haroye Ner Chanukah Serach Levarach, have the last Tosfot on the page in the left corner. Haroye, Mark, you got it? Haroye Ner Chanukah Serach Levarach. Adam, it's right here in the Hebrew on the left side. Haroye Ner Chanukah Serach Levarach. B'sham mitzvot, other mitzvot, Kigon, Alulav, Sukkah, Lo Tikinu Levarach Leroya. They didn't institute such a bracha by just seeing a sight of the. I see a sukkah. I see a lulav. Ela gabi ner Chanukah. Only by Chanukah. Why? Mishum chavivot hanes. Because of the love of the miracle. Because of this miracle, which I presume he means the love, the amazing miracle that happened, and to make known the miracle. Right, but was probably the chavi. Right, he talks about. See, the way I explained before, because one, you have a mitzvah to publicize, but Tosfos doesn't say that. Right, Tosfos says the chavivot hanes. There's something called the preciousness of the miracle, and it could be, Nathan, that when the rabbis instituted the bracha. What is the time period that the rabbis instituted the bracha? I mean, we're talking about, they instituted pretty much the time of the miracle. But, I mean, it was, Shana Cheres, the next year by Hanukkah, it says they made the instituted. Right? The miracle happened this year, and the next year they instituted. So, the being that's most probably the time period that the miracle happened, in contrast to the time of the Sukkah, which happened many years before. Correct? Nathan is asking why Sukkah is also what he means, the greatness of the miracle of Sukkah, remembering the clouds of glory that protected us. So why is that less of a miracle of love of the miracle than Hanukkah, that we were saved by Hanukkah in the miracle of Hanukkah, the menorah burning? Why is that less of a cherished mitzvah, cherished miracle than the other one? So I would just suggest, because that miracle happened many years before. But the miracle of Hanukkah, when the rabbi did it just happened. The miracle of Hanukkah was during the Second Temple, and that was the time period the rabbis instituted. At that time, the next year later, they have to light the menorah. And it just happened last year, this great miracle. So maybe that's why they went ahead and they said, if you just see a menorah, because we're all living off of that great miracle that just happened. Maybe that's why they said that's enough to say a bracha. And then Tosfos says another thing. There are many people that don't have houses. The mitzvah menorah was you have a house, you light a menorah, ner ish of beito. וגם משום שיש כמה בני אדם שאין להם בתים. They don't have a house. They don't have their own house. They're by someone else. They don't have their own house. ואין בידם לקיים המצווה, and they don't have the ability to do the mitzvah. Now, Tosfos says, say it again?
At some point, they said, you don't say it's better about it.
No, the truth is, Mark, we will, if we look in Shulchan Aruch, you see that Zion, we're gonna see that Zion, that this bracha would apply if a person would be in a situation today that no one's lighting for him in his house. If he sees someone else's menorah, we could take out the Shulchan Aruch, and if you want to look at it, and we can look at the Shulchan Aruch on this halakha. It applies today. You never heard it because thank God that people have someone, they make sure that they like somehow. That they find a place to eat.
One, that no letter from home. Number two, that he didn't bring his own menorah. And number three, that
here it says, let's see the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says the following. It's in Tov Reish Ayin Vav. Tov Reish Ayin Vav, black and white, Rabbi Yosef Cairo, the great Sephardi rabbi, says the following. Tov Reish Ayin Vav. Misha lo hidlik, someone who did not light, and he's not planning, and he's not going to light that night. He's not going to light that night. And nobody's lighting for him in his house. Those are the conditions that have been met. When he sees a Ner Chanukah, he says two brachot. He says, Sha'asanisim lavotenu and Shechianu. And the first, and then if he and the second and third night, if he's going to be able to light on the second and third night, he does not repeat the Shechianu because he already said the Shechianu. But that is the halacha, black and white. But thank God today people. If he lit the first night, right? He said, right. Then the second night he just sees it. He'll only say Sha'asanisim lavoteinu b'yom ha'im lazman hazeh. Okay. So let's continue in the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Now, but it shows you the love of the miracle or of Hanukkah that the rabbis instituted a bracha on just seeing the menorah, and how much the rabbis wanted every Jew to be connected with that mitzvah. To that level, you'll say a bracha even though you're not doing the action of the mitzvah. So the Gemara says, by the way, in the Rambam, it's interesting, the Rambam's language, I remember hearing a shir from a big, maybe it was Aaron Soloveitchik, it's of Yoshe Ber Soloveitchik's brother, I think, when he spoke about the Rambam Hanukkah, the language of the Rambam is, it's like a mitzvah chaviva himo, it's like such a cherished mitzvah, it's such a beloved mitzvah. And that's the same language that the Rambam, that the Tosfos used, because of the love, the love of the miracle. It seems like that this miracle of Hanukkah is such a happy, celebratory, and how mitzvah that in such a high level of love that it's so beloved. You know, it's so special that mitzvah. Now every mitzvah is special, but you know some are just a little bit. You know the level. So the Gemara says, "My mevarech." What does he say? So the Gemara says, "Amar Yehuda." You know, Rishon on day one, you say before you light the menorah, Hamadlik mevorech shalosh. You say three brachot, and you got to remember the brachot. All three brachot are before you light the menorah. You do the brachot before the mitzvah, just like B'dikat Chametz is coming up soon, right? You're going to say a bracha before you do the search. You don't say the bracha after the search, during the search. Only say it during the search if you didn't say it at the beginning of the search, because it's not over the mitzvah, you can still say the bracha. But before you start the search, right, Mr. Abra, you're going to say a bracha. So here you say three brachot. If someone sees a menorah, says two brachot on the menorah. Mikan ve'elech, from day 2 on. Madlik, if you light the menorah, right after day 1, what do you do? For day 2, you only say 2 brachot. You say Madlik Neshach Chanukah and Shas Nisma Vatain. Madlik Mivarach Shtayim, Vaharoeh, and then after the first day, the roeh, someone sees the menorah and they're not lighting in his house for him, and he's not going to be lighting himself. Mivarach Achat, he's going to say one bracha she'asa nitzim lavotein. Now, what is the bracha that you say on a menorah? Okay, we just said, right, Simon? You're going to say a bracha before you light a menorah. Now, what is the actual text of the bracha? So the Gemara said, Baruch, which stands Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, Asher Kiddushin Mitzvotav, V'tzivon Lahadik Ner Shel Chanukah. That's the right, because there are different texts of how do you what do you have Lahadik Ner Chanukah, Lahadik Ner Shel Chanukah, and I think even the Sfardim and Ashkenazim, there's certain you say okay, there's certain text about what is the actual text of the bracha. Let's see in the Shulchan Aruch if he brings those opinions. Fifth base. No, he doesn't say. But there are different, because there are different texts. You see, I think what's the text that you say? Hadik Ner?
Yeah.
We say, I think, Hadik Ner Shel Chanukah. We don't just say Hadik Ner Chanukah. And then Shel. We have different. So we'll take out a sitter, but we have different texts. What do you got there? What do you got over here? What do you say? You say Ner Chanukah. So you go. So David. So the Svardim. That usually parentheses are taken. We don't usually read the parentheses. So that's your text. But the fact that we have it in the book in parentheses, that means there were different texts on it. So therefore, whichever text you say, follow your text. Okay. This is Nathan's question. How do you say Lahadlik Ner Asher Kisham Mitzvotav Brachat Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam? That you sanctified us with your mitzvot, and the Rabbeinu Bachai says Asher Kisham Mitzvotav. That means you bring holiness to yourself every time you do a mitzvah. When you have brothers, sisters, family members, or friends, Jews that are not doing mitzvot, they are not bringing holiness to themselves, and therefore they're Jewish. They have a lot of potential, but they're not holy. Because if they're not doing mitzvot, what's making them holy? Just being Jewish doesn't make you holy. The Torah says kedoshim to you. You got to make yourself holy. You got to do things that are holy. Therefore, you'll have many Jews who don't keep Torah mitzvot. Morning, and you'll see you see they're not holy. They're not holy because they're not doing something. So Asher Kiddishanu, the holiness of the Jew is brought in. The more mitzvot, the more Torah you have, the more holy you are going to be. So Asher Kiddishanu mitzvotav and v'tzivanu, and you commanded us. So therefore, I say you have to have mercy on fellow Jews and help them get holy. And v'tzivanu, good morning. Where did you command us? That Hashem didn't command us to light the menorah. So like the Gemara says through the rabbis, because the Torah says, the Gemara says, where did God command us? It's not a mitzvah on the Torah level. So the Gemara says, lo tasur. The Torah says, don't turn away what the rabbis tell you. Follow what the rabbis tell you. Follow what Chacham Avadia says, right? Messiah Abba Shaul says. Moshe Feinstein says. Follow, everyone has followed their rabbi, their poskim. You have any time a person just says, I don't care what the rabbis say, then he's violating the Torah. That's a Torah violation. It's not just you're not following the rabbinic law, you also have not followed the Torah law, because the Torah empowered the rabbis and said you have to follow the rabbis. She follows your custom. That's the general consensus. So the Gemara says the following: Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Omar, Rav Nachman by Yitzchak says he has a different pasuk. Sha'al avicha, this is a pasuk in Dvarim. Sha'al avicha v'yagetcha. Ask your father, and he will tell you. Zikenecha v'yomrulach. Ask your elders, and they will tell you. You know, you have to listen. And the Zikenecha are the rabbis, the elderly people. The elderly means zakein means doesn't necessarily mean elderly, means someone who has chachma, someone who has wisdom. And the Torah says you will ask him, and he will tell you, and you follow him, and that is another source that is a biblical source. Now, they asked the question. There's a famous question on this Gemara. Now that we've just established that rabbinic law is really Torah law, rabbinic law was mandated, the Torah says, to listen to the rabbis, and therefore you can actually say v'tzivanu, you can say, and you commanded us on this mitzvah. Every time you do a rabbinic mitzvah, you're washing hands for bread, so why is it we have a rule, stafik daraita l'chumra, stafik derabanan l'kula? If you're not sure if you said a bracha, Mr. Haber has a coffee. He says a bracha all the time. Says not only says the bracha, he says the bracha out loud with kavanah, the way a person's supposed to say a bracha. But let's say if he's not sure if he said a bracha on the coffee or not. Maybe he did, maybe he doesn't remember. Let's say that would ever happen. So the law is technically he could just continue drinking because if you're not sure, it's a rabbinic law to say a bracha on the cup of coffee, and you're not sure if you have the responsibility now to say the bracha, because you might have said the bracha, you might not have said the bracha, have it say it. But even if somebody who doesn't have such a habit, I'm sorry to say, and so there are people in the world that don't have that habit, and they sometimes try to do it sometimes, and they not sure if they said it or not. A guy who he says bracha sometimes, doesn't say bracha sometimes, and doesn't remember. Did he say the bracha on the coffee or not? You want to say you're saying because most of the time he doesn't say the bracha, and he's not sure. That I'm not sure about. Yeah, I said, Mark, that I'm not sure about. We say that's the reason why we could say the Sivano on the Lulav from day 2 to day 7, and that's why we could say the Sivano on Hanukkah, because because the Torah says follow the rabbis. But my question is, okay, Mark brought up a question. If most of the time a person doesn't say a bracha, but sometimes he does say a bracha, and he's not sure, do we say rely on the majority of the time or not? That's a good question. But a guy who sometimes says a bracha, sometimes doesn't, he's not sure if he said a bracha, we say what? You don't say another bracha. But a guy who's not sure if he said birkat hamazon or not, right? He had a full meal, he had a lot of bread, he had a nice amount of bread, the raita, and he's not sure. Did I say birkat hamazon? I don't remember. We say, go say it again. What'd you say? Okay, right. That's why he doesn't know. Exactly. So, but why are we saying stuff like that right there, l'chumra? Why are we being more strict by the Torah law if the rabbinic law is also what? Torah law? That is the question that's there. Everybody hear the question? So the answer that I've heard is the following. It's true that rabbinic law has a Torah obligation to follow rabbinic law. But the rabbis, when they made the law, their rabbinic law, those same rabbis said, when you have it down, if you have an obligation, if there is actually a rabbinic law here, we, the rabbis, say, then you do not have to, you could be lenient. The rabbis did that. The rabbis made that statement regarding their enactment. So therefore, that's why, if you're not sure if you said a bracha on the drink, you will not need to say once you don't need to, then you can't do it, because then you might be saying Hashem's name in vain. It's not like some other. Now, what I would recommend in such a case is, if you're not sure if you said a bracha on the coffee, and you definitely did, and you only had in mind if you did say the bracha on the coffee, You only had in mind the shakol on the coffee. So I would say take something else that would be a bracha shakol, and that's how you avoid. I like to avoid the question, and avoid possibly eating something out of bracha, even though I have a right to at that point. Take a piece of candy, something that's in the shakol, and have in mind in case I didn't say a bracha on the coffee, that will cover it. But you don't have to do that. That's going a little bit above the letter of the law. Okay, that's that now. So the Gemara says. My now Nace kol yoma isay. The nace of the shemen of the oil, right? Every day there was another miracle regarding the oil, right? At the beginning, it only lasted, there was enough oil to last for one night. And every night it lasted. So every night was a separate mitzvah. And some say that only 1/8 burnt each night. So that was each night was a miracle. Therefore, you say the bracha of Sha'asa Nisim Lavotenu every night, because every night is a new miracle. But you don't say, but the Shechianu, which your bracha Shechianu is you're thanking Hashem for reaching this time period. So once you said Shechianu the first night, you don't say Shechianu anymore. That first night will cover you for all the days of the holiday. There's a famous question: why do you say a bracha? Why do we celebrate 8 days of Hanukkah? We're saying every day was a miracle, but if you had enough oil for the first night to burn, so the fact that what is the miracle? So there were 7 days of miracle that it burned an extra 7 nights. Right. So why are we saying there's 8 days of miracles? So some say finding the oil was a miracle, that it was pure. But like Nathan said, I said the first night, according to the Beit Yosef, according to only 1/8 burned. Instead of the whole thing burning, only 1/8. The fact that only 1/8 burned, not the whole thing, that in itself is a miracle. I want to wish everyone a beautiful day. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to seeing everybody's able to come. And the class will, thank you very much. And the class is on tomorrow. We're not taking what did it say? It's to say Birkat HaMazon tonight, right? At the Sheva Bracha. Okay, have a great day, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Thank you very much. Mr.